Welcome, welcome. This is the final machine learning project brought to you by Demarcus Thomas. It's titled The Making of an Artificial Intelligent Trading Bot, and it's been named DataBeast. This is for the Black Box Machine Learning course by Dr. John Sinteri for the fall of 2018. Let's begin. So the abstract: an artificial intelligent trading bot was created and deployed to make intelligent trades in the FX market. The bot, known as DataBeast, was charged to carry out trades automatically, while training itself to perform better and make winning trades and exiting out of losing trades. DataBeast has a deep neural network design initiated by a stacked autoencoder which was enabled by an R package called DeepNet. First things first. The foreign exchange market, also known as Forex or the FX market, is the world's most traded market with turnover of $5.1 trillion per day. I should add, it is considered the most riskiest market to trade in. Forex is traded 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, and sometimes you could even consider it 6 days a week if you add up all the time over 24 hours. It is traded by banks, institutions, individual traders worldwide. Unlike other financial markets, there is no centralized marketplace for Forex. Currency trades over the counter and whatever market is open at that time. The FX market is highly technical and ideally suitable for trading bots. There are approximately over 84,000 trading bots in the FX market. Trading bots are called expert advisors. And I must mention, most of the trading bots out there are developed based on technical indicators. They may not necessarily be artificial intelligent with a neural network design. The data. We took the open, high, low, and close quotes from the last 6,000 bars of the Euro USD for the time frame of 30 minutes as of December 5th of 2018. For our input variables, we selected 11 indicators. They were all oscillators. They were called the average directional index, the ARUN, the average trade range, the CCI, chalk and volatility, the commodity channel index, the moving average convergence divergence, relative strength index, stochastic momentum index, and also we have the volatility. Several variables were selected from some indicators, and this way we have formed the input set of our 17 variables. A future project and plan will be to tune the variables based on these certain indicators. Now, the indicators chosen were selected because they do work well together, although they don't have to be these number of indicators. We could have more, we could have less, and we can have different types. There are hundreds of different types of indicators. Technical indicators. Let's look at the pre-processing / pre-training for the input and target data for our DataBeast experiment. And so as you see, selecting the input data, we're studying, analyzing preliminary preparation, evaluation, breaking the data down into training and validation and test sets, training the model in the training data set, and selecting the model and models of the validation one, and also the evaluation of the model and model's quality on the test sample, and defining optimal model parameters or the best model out of a set by certain measures. So we let the model and the model start the work. Our setup, as you can see, we have the MetaTrader 5 software, and then we have MQL4, and this is where the code is written. And this MQL4 is the language to create a expert advisor, and it just so happens that R and MQL4 can talk to each other, and so we also have R. And now what I'd like to do is kind of take you on a tour of each different setup, and I'll start with R. The first thing about R that you should understand is that I am actually working with the high-powered Microsoft Corporation edition of R. It's the Open R Revolt. And so it turned out that Microsoft actually bought R. They left the open source traditional one, and then they actually produced a much more powerful R version that is enhanced for machine learning and things of that sort. I do have my codes up, the DataBeast R, the DataBeast, the other version of DataBeast, and then we also have two indicators, and we could also look at the code and the setup of how everything was used. The beauty behind making it all work is this package called DeepNet, and we're going to get into the inner workings of the neural network design and why there was an autoencoder used as opposed to something else. Next, we will look at the editor, and this is basically your setup for it's called the meta editor, and this is your setup to create an expert advisor that runs on the MetaTrader platform. So MetaTrader and the meta editor are together. They're one package deal. It is big business to make electric advisors that trade on the Forex, the FX markets. I mean, they have advisors that generate trades automatically at the penny level, dollar level, to the thousands of dollar levels, and across all time frames, weekly, monthly trades versus trades by the minute and second. And so this particular setup is created by a 30-minute time interval that is designed to run on the Euro US dollar currency pair. And so this just gives you an idea of how this was set up and some of the parameters that it took to create this. And as you can see, this points to what we call R-term, and R-term is the executable R software. And so whenever I refer to R-term, we're talking about how this data feeds into R-term. So the indicator takes the previous data values for our test values and feeds them into R-term. And finally, I will pull up, this is a quick tour of everything. I'll pull up MetaTrader. This is a demo account. As you can see, we have a lot of things open right now. This account currently has about a balance of $49,403, and this is virtual currency. And what we'll do is keep in mind this is a demo account. It is run on a demo server, and I have different pairs up here. This is just standard. This is what you see when you download it. This is the 30-minute interval, and so every bar represents the price of the currency pair within 30 minutes. And you can think of each little histogram as a box plot where those lines will represent the highest value within the 30-minute interval. This is the lowest value within the 30-minute interval, and then the shape of the box will represent the lower quartile, the 25th percentile, and the 75th percentile. And also, if it is um, dark or black, or if you want to think of it as clear, that means that the closing price was higher than the opening price within the 30 minutes. And if it's white, that clearly means that at the end of this, the closing price after 30 minutes, the price after 30 minutes within this interval was lower than the open price. So it kind of stayed stagnant. I mean, between these, within this hour, within the last hour and a half, in this time frame, it kind of went. There was a huge amount of points, or we call them pips, that was generated, and it kind of just went from up and down. And as you can see, you could change the time frame. So now every box or candlestick, sometimes they call it, is an hour, and we can go back down to every 5 minutes. And as you can see, there hasn't been much market trading at all. Um, Not much volatility, to be honest with you. Even at the minute level, we kind of see, okay, there does appear to be a trend going down. So after 5 minutes, there probably, if we look at the 5 minute chart, you see that there is kind of a decline going, because we can just look at the last five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last five candlesticks on the 1 minute chart corresponds to that gap there. So there does appear to be some decline. So that's pretty interesting. Let's see, after 4 hour mark, there it is. So within 4 hours, generally speaking, there is a lot of volatility. However, for the most part, there is no major um, increase or decrease happening. So that's pretty interesting. So there's the setup. What we'll do now is go through, how do we put these things together? Now, how does it actually work? The inner workings of this project. And so you've probably never seen an image like this, but usually when we look at neural networks, we're looking at them horizontally. In this picture, you have to think of it as vertically and going from down to up. So this is called a stacked autoencoder. And one thing about the autoencoder is that what you put in is what the number of values you get out from your layer. And instead of actually getting a single output, we're taking the hidden layer and taking that data into the hidden layer of our multi-layer perceptron. And so we actually have two different structures happening, and they are talking to each other. And so the inputs go from here. We have three different stacked autoencoders, so how it is operating. And the hidden layers are also going into the next autoencoder, and also they're going into the multi-layer perceptron. So it's pretty interesting. Next, we have the two-part process of the project. So we had to create an indicator that would correspond and talk to the expert advisor DataBeast. And so the indicator is where it contains the neural network code. It tells the expert advisor when to execute the trade and when not to execute the trade. And based on the autoencoder and the data that's coming in, it calculates it, and based on every bar, every new candlestick, has the price changed? If it has, let's send it to R, or R terminal X file, the exe file, and then also it goes through this loop. Is R working? Yes. Buffett. Now R will actually send out the message. Everything comes back and funnels back into the indicator back again. And so this is like a cyclical organic process between the indicator and the expert advisor. And based on the indicator and how it is, the information that is given, it will tell the expert advisor what to do when trading. Again, this is the the other slide in how it actually processes the new bar, the training, the preparation of the data frame, how it trains the model, tests the model, is the quality good or not. It sets off an alert if it is not. If it is, it saves the model. Now the code actually saves the model and feeds it in. So it's pretty interesting when you're deploying a machine learning project. You tell the code that create this file, and the next script, the, the code is to open that file, use the data frame, embed it into there to upload it, and it simply overwrites and updates the file as it trades and as the process goes on and on and on. And so, as you can see, whether it's training or working, it goes through and the test model quality is if it's good or not, yes. And then finally, it makes a prediction. It will either buy or sell. And this happens rather quickly. In the matter of once we deploy it, it feeds in the historical values over 6,000 bars, which isn't that much over a 30-minute period. And then it looks at the indicator. The indicator will indicate whether or not there's a trend, and it'll execute a trade. Here are some of the formal parameters, so putting it all together. So ultimately, these are the values that go into play when we're the technical aspect of the project. It was quite the task to be able to get these together and actually play with them and customize these values and see how do you want your indicator, your expert advisor to behave. Do you want them to be risky, conservative? How do you want it to think? How do you want it to proceed and get out of winning trades? So the parameters are key, and this is really how you would tune them ultimately. Okay, so as you can see, a lot of aspects going into this. The activation function of the autoencoder is the SCE. We have a matrix of the input value, and those were those 17 values that we created. The open, high, and low, and also those other indicators. And then we get that vector of the target variable, and we calculate the R as the ratio of the train and the test set, and that's pretty important. Come to find out, the amount of training data that you use and the amount of tests that you use will determine your accuracy. So these values can all be changed within the code, and this is how we're putting it all together. Now finally, what we will look into now is unleashing the beast. I'm going to demonstrate how the expert advisor DataBeast actually works. I'm going to launch the DataBeast, give it full autonomy over the trading account, and then we're going to sit back and see if it's actually going to work or not. It's not a given. Sometimes it doesn't work. There's a flaw in the code, or when it sends the information to our term, something's not worked in our term as well. So what we'll do now is pull up MetaTrader, and I'm going to set it to the 30-minute bar, and I'm going to launch the expert advisor first, and then I'm going to launch the indicator. So you just drop them onto the screen. This has been copyrighted by the Septillion AI community. Contact at septillion.com. So it's one of the sites of the community. We also have a Slack channel. The parameters are pretty good. We're just going to hit OK, and if it's been launched good, you will see DataBeast with a happy symbol. And now we're going to launch the indicator. There's a special indicator that was created. It's DataBeast, and that's also been branded and uploaded today. We're going to hit OK, and let's give it a moment. Okay, the indicator has been launched. This is a great sign. And right now, it looks like DataBeast has made a trade. DataBeast just bought the pair, and it has it brought in at 1.13. So right now, the exchange rate of the euro versus the USD, the dollar, is exactly 1.13. And these other lines basically indicate that um, if the trade is losing, the stop loss, if for some reason it goes straight shooting down, it will stop the order at that point. It will get out of the trade at this line. And if I zoom out, let's see, I zoom in. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Zoom out some more. Well, it looks like we can't see where it takes the profit, but there should actually be another indicator where it actually takes the profit. Um, Goes in here. Yeah, as we can see at 1.14319, it's off the screen. There's another red line that basically that's where it takes the profit at. Okay, so if I were to put this back into the screen here, as you can see, this looks pretty promising. For whatever reason, the computer has started off and it's executed its first trade. So right now, as you can see, there's kind of a pinch. Usually when you're looking at the charts and the values slow down, there is going to be a strong breakout in one direction or the other, either up or down. Again, if you believe that the values and the prices are going to go up, you would buy. If you believe that the prices are going to go down, uh, you can actually sell, and you can do one of two options, actually three options. You can do nothing, buy, or sell. And right now, the database is it has full control of auto trading. It's happy and it is traded. Um, I have noticed that it will reverse the position. It will close out and reverse the position before the stop loss indicator will happen. It can do that. So it has a sign of intelligence. I've seen it trade for quite a while. Database is pretty, uh, uh, I would say, an aggressive trader. I mean, it opened up a lot size of 10 lots, and that's kind of what I could control. I can go in there and control it and set it off. And so it is working. It's functional. It's been deployed, and it's probably the longer it runs, the smarter it gets. Um, we have seen a lot of different things go on. There's been a lot of winning trades and losing trades, a combination of both. In fact, and that's really the goal is not to make a lot of money with this, but it's really to understand the inner workings of this project and to see it work and play out. Um, so finally, I will say in conclusion, there are a few ways to improve the qualitative indicators, and they're not just qualitative indicators, they're actually technical quantitative indicators, but some of them do correspond to some of the news and some of the fundamental analysis that's happening. And so you have the evaluation and selections of the predictors and the technical indicators, determining the optimal parameters. So there's some, maybe we can do some ensemble machine learning training and tune the parameters, determine the optimal parameters of the neural network. And then also we have um, the results shown by the neural network um, are average in terms of metrics. The ideal results was not the initial goal. Using such a model and permanent evaluation of the effectiveness coefficient, the model can be retrained and optimized without disrupting the trading process. And so there you have it. That is the machine learning project. Thank you for watching. It's approximately 30 minutes. Hope this wasn't too long and dragged out. I will be in touch. Reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. I'm always around. Take care.